Thanks for staying with us. We have a caller on the line, Adewale from Abulegba. Good morning, Adewale.
Good morning. Actually, I really want to contribute to my area. You see, what we are talking about abusive marriage. What we need to know is we have all been carried over, talked about, and manipulated by our parents that when you are going to marry, they are not expecting you coming.
To come back.
But to come back. But we need to talk to all the institutions that establish marriage. Whenever this thing is being carried out, maybe marriages, let these people know that it's not, they are not going to a point of no return. If it becomes too hot there, you can come back home. You're going to be going and die there. The Muslims should do this, the Christians should do this, the traditionalists should do this. So these are the people that can help out. Whenever they are establishing marriage, let them also put it in their advice or in their words there. That they are not going to die there. If it's too hot,
come home.
Looks like we lost.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that contribution. I like that.
Yeah.
Now, she also said something, in the video where she said all marriages are not perfect and she would just rather stay here. Yeah, and be entering coma and coming out than going out when she knows that all marriages are not perfect. I'm very particular about that word. Anytime I hear people say all marriages are not perfect, I see it as an excuse for what they are going through. And then they paint it. All marriages are not perfect. All lives are not perfect. We are not perfect. But that does not mean that we will behave like animals towards each other because we are not perfect. So I feel like we are just trying to excuse the pain that we are going through to say, maybe in Nyma's house, they're actually beating her. She will wear this pancake and hide and come here and be smiling. Maybe in Ramat's house, this is what is happening. Let me cuckoo swallow my own and die in that pain. How do we help people to lift that stigma of a failed marriage? This is the root of most of the issues that we're having. Where you know that when you leave this marriage, how would they see me? What would they call me? How would they perceive me? My family members will reject me. There's no support anywhere. They'll say, I've failed in marriage. How do we lift that stigma so that people understand that your life first before your marriage? It's like we're putting the marriage first before our life.
That's it. So it's conversations like this, is talking and talking. The story you gave about kneeling down to give, was a thing. It was every wedding you go to. It was just, it was not, that was not how, when we were much, much, much younger, I never saw that. But, as we grew older, then it became a whole thing. And then Nigerian women started talking about it. Nigerian women did not keep quiet. So many people refused to accept that. And I noticed that behind that conversation, we don't see it anymore. So it means that we need to keep talking. The more you talk, the more you have platforms like this.
Let me pause you because I want to hear everything you want to say. We have Yusuf from Shomolu. Yusuf, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. I have a position pertaining it happened to my sister. So our husband took 10 years ago. So this particular day about 10 years ago now. So for the this time. So my younger one was telling me that my sister was speaking out. I was just thinking that the normal thing between husband and wife or something. Maybe she was doing all that slap her. So my mother told me that when your sister died, you don't keep her photo. I'm like, wow, this is good. Just get her. When I got to the hospital, they did not allow me to enter the hospital because it was on coma. All her eyeball was red, blood, on her face, on her eyeball. If she calls, it is blood. So I later asked what happened. So that when the guy did her ball, she was on the floor and he used my head to pull her and smack my head in the wall.
Jesus.
Oh, wow. So I'm a rough person. I'm a rugged person. I'm using it, but when it comes to that, I don't take it lightly. So I call my friend in the area because we grew up together with the guy. So, and they know the kind of person I am. So but I started my own, nobody said that I'm taking power into my hands. So let that one go.
Oh.
So this particular day, my elder sister's daughter was with my sister. Now sister up again. So that one happened for me. So I didn't go. I waited till around 11 in the night. When I got there, I didn't ask him anything. I just knocked on the bed. We went to the station. It was not something. Before that time, it was about 6 times after that one. So when we got to the station, the police said that, why can't I come and pack my sister with that? So you do balance, do like that. You should have pushed out the road outside, they will come and pick you. Right there, one of the police said that I have used what I got to defend my sister. In fact, he didn't pass my sister again. That's why everything stopped now. So sometimes all these kind of people, they need a radical approach.
Radical approach. Thank you so much, Yusuf, for sharing that story.
Yes. Yes, so I was saying that, concerning that kneeling down, it was on the back of where people did not accept it that it stopped. Now, it was because that I use that as an example of how, when we speak up, sometimes we change, culture. That kneeling down in itself was not an issue for women. It was just what it symbolizes, what it symbolized at the time. It just did not seem that you were having a husband and wife on the same platform. Now, concerning more serious issues, there was a time also there was a serious campaign about silence is not a, where we kept talking about silence is not a strength or something like that, because that was something that we got culturally where, even in church or many marital counseling, they would say to you, it's about when you have a problem, it's about you and your husband alone.
No third parties.
No third parties. But everybody's issues are different. And so when you have issues like sexual abuse, pedophilia, physical abuse and things like that, you cannot apply that silence or just the two of you. You have to speak up. So it took people sort of pointing out the sort of things that you should speak about for it to become, now we have people actually talking about it and realizing that this is not what they want for themselves. Then there's this other thing also that we like to, tell people when they're about to get married. We had a caller who mentioned it that, once you get married, we don't want to see you again. And it was that thing used to bother me as a child. Like, this is a child I have raised, I have groomed, I've given the best of everything, and this child goes into a marriage and is beaten and is, just abused constantly. And you see that child, after all the love and everything you've invested in that child, you'd rather that child continue to live in that sort of situation instead of bringing that child home and making sure that you remove them from that toxic situation. So these are the things that we've always told people during marriages that have kept them in marriages like that. Yeah. And now we have to tell them a different story. We're hoping that women who are already married and young people who are looking to, get married, like me, just listening to women who knew better, I knew the sort of things that I wanted. So I'm hoping that today, this conversation that we're having, there are a group of girls listening and understanding that this is not what I would accept in my marriage. This is something, these are the things that I would accept. So that silence is not for physical abuse, it's not for sexual abuse, not for emotional abuse. That don't come home. Parents, throw it away. If your family, if your daughter or son is in a toxic relationship, in a toxic marriage, let them come home, back into your loving arms. Let you take care of them and they should go away. Then all these, all marriages are not perfect. We need to break it to them what we mean. Don't use a blanket, marriage is not perfect. We come from different situations and someone will be thinking that, that my husband is sleeping with my child. Maybe my own imperfection I'm carrying, probably that is not part of it. So in changing the mindset is we should start naming the things, that should not be acceptable. The other caller that mentioned that, the institutions involved in marriages, imagine if you went to the church when they are doing the marriage, whatever, and you're signing a marriage certificate, list out like the 10 commandments, list out the 10 things or the 100 things that you should not accept in a marriage and sign across it so that if you are not sure, you can look at the paper and say, this is happening. You know? I'm not talking of petty things.
Yes,
I'm talking of things immediate.
Thank you, Miriam. Let's take this call. I'll come to you, Ramat. Uzo from Port Harcourt. Good morning, Uzo.
But why?
Good morning, Uzo. You're live.
Why?
Okay, I don't think he's aware that we've picked the call. Yes, Ramat.
Okay, so in response to you, Miriam, that's your list of the 10 commandments and all that you mentioned only happens to the Christians, because most times we don't really have those counseling, this thing in...
we don't have it yet. I'm suggesting it's something
okay.
that should be
So,
done.
but you guys have counseling at church, your
No,
pastor...
they counsel you to stay for better, for worse.
So even in the church, we're talking to them.
Or else you're a sinner.
They don't even counsel us on anything.
At all.
At all. They don't
Depends.
talk to you. Just
in
from...
the north too.
Yes.
In
Just your parents that will talk to
they
you.
do counsel.
Your parents,
north?
just your parents that will talk
in the
to
south,
you.
in the mosque, they do counsel. So some mosques, they will compel both parties to come. I know the criteria women established it. So you go to Ansarudin and all these, established groups in south here. Before you get your certificate that you want, they must be sure that
But we in
proper
the north,
counseling.
it's your parents that do most of the
Yes,
counseling.
but because of the
and all.
briefness of nikah, you will now your parents will have to do the initial one. So, but when
What
you
they
want,
don't tell us is the amount of
with
patience and the amount of forgiveness that we need to have in marriage.
Are they supposed to quantify it
Perseverance.
for you?
You know, we don't know
nobody
the extent.
prepares you now.
We don't know the extent.
You go declare.
It's a school that you get the certificate before you start
You
the
have
course.
no idea, exactly. So me, I'm even particular on that one that sleeps with his daughter.
Hey.
Excuse me. Your daughter, you are the safest, the mother and the father are the safest person they know in their lives, and then you, father, you're sleeping with. So where do you want her to go when she's in trouble and all of that? And there's that saying that they say the men are always very close.
Their daughters.
So if that's safety or if she does not feel safe with you, then who is she going to feel safe with?
Hey.
You understand? So that one, I don't even...
Let's take this call. Chris from Mushin. Good morning, Chris. Louis. Oh, we lost the call.
Sorry, Louis. So there are certain cultural practices that encourage abuse of women. If you study them, so in Edo State, for instance, there's a cultural practice that, it's assumed that women are the makers and destroyers of society.
Okay.
There's a place where I've experienced it before at burial where they'll call the wives and say, if this family is united, you see people. If they are divided, you see people. And they will say the woman is not. So you come into a family and you see strange practices. So mom. They will call you. They will give you the mom advice. They will also give you like a course attached to consequence of saying it out, calling it out. And I see these practices across board in the East. When a woman becomes a widow, everything will fall on her. They will bring the wedge itself on top of her.
Yes.
But if a man becomes a widower, sorry you.
2 months.
So it's assumed that for the excesses that you have to cope with, the shortcomings that you have to cope with, something can break you in case you go and kill somebody. It's assumed that the men are killed. Wow. It is assumed. So a woman who sees her daughter being slept with, who feels helpless, will not think of killing the man. But culture have put it that, try it. All the costs will fall on you.
Curses.
Nobody curses a man.
What I hear you say, do you know what you have just said? That the assumption that they have that a woman will kill, because they know that there are things that a human being cannot take.
Thank
that
you.
they give them.
That should be given. If they are beating you, you will be afraid to defend yourself for fear he dies on your hands because you will drink some things.
Oh, God.
Your eye go see some things. You know? But if he kills the woman, it's only a few places in Edo I've seen where the culture is strong on men when they kill their spouses.
Yeah.
In fact, they will make you stay with the corpse. You will pay heavily. They will do something when they assume she must have died from domestic violence. But I've never seen them when they drag a man to
drink
police,
all those things.
to drink the concoction, or
Anything.
they curse him or curse his ancestry. They
Let's take
forgive
this
him
call
easily.
from Esther. Esther from Surulere. Good morning, Esther.
Good morning, love you. I'm first-time caller.
Welcome to the show.
I'm always listening to your program. I really enjoy it.
Thank you.
This morning, the program is for me.
Oh, thank you so much.
I want to say about all this marriage issue. I even lost that sister. The husband beat her all the time. Beat her. I was like, sister, leave this marriage. She said she can't leave the marriage. What people will say, because for the sake of my children. But now she's in the grave. The children now move on. Please. I'm a single lady. Because of the trauma that my sister faced, I can't say, oh yes, I do. Please, you people should help me and talk to all those women out there that will say, my husband is beating me, and I can't leave my marriage. Please help me and tell them, when you die, your children will move on. Your husband will even get married to another woman.
Immediately.
God bless you all.
Thank you.
Add to the caller that your children don't move on. They remain broken.
Yeah.
So if you are thinking about it, maybe you are thinking about it up until where you think you want to help your children. Think about it beyond when you die. How my mother always says that the chick with them cover, now they grow. The one with the mother don't scatter out, the mother don't die. Now ox they chop them, or life will, anyhow they turn out, they turn out. So if you don't want your children to be an anyhow turn out, you have to sit down and calculate this thing thoroughly. If you don't have a way out, have a plan. For some people, they have to plan it. For some people, they have to know how. For some people, they don't have the help of a family that will cover them when they come out with their kids. I know one lady, the father, I should be calling him out. I don't want to use the word useless, but I don't see a father in him. So she was a teenage, she got pregnant as a teenager. She alleged to have been raped. So she was being punished by her parents one night and kicked out, made to sleep outside.
And that's when the rape happened.
And so the rape happened.
Oh, wow.
But the father insisted she got pregnant in secondary school. And she had a boyfriend. She insisted it was a rape. First one, no do. So when she got pregnant, kicked out again. And this time around, she was sleeping outside and met somebody who said he was going to help her. And she moved in and had that baby in his house. And so she was constantly being beaten and raped in that house, but she had nowhere to go. Imagine that circle. And so once when we were speaking to her and trying to empower her, we advised go back to your father to go and talk to father. We met her outside. He said, you're married to a new woman. I cannot deal with you. Her mom was remarried. He too cannot deal. So the girl just kept being tossed around. Till today, I'm afraid that she's falling victim of human trafficking. I have not set my eyes on her. So they made her circumstances helpless.
Yes.
Let's take this call. We have Omawumi from Ikeja. Good morning, Omawumi.
Good morning, ladies.
Morning.
Yeah, I want to talk to you guys are discussing this morning. The thing is, what I see, I'm actually married for the past 2 years now.
Okay.
But the little experience I have in my marriage, as a woman, you have to have something doing. So then you should prepare for the unforeseen circumstances. Because some ladies they are going through a lot in their marriage. They can't step out because they are not financially stable.
Yeah.
Then most importantly, there is one thing Nyma made mention of recent now. He said some parents, they are not ready to accept their daughter back. If they are in that position, you know that, okay, my parents, they are nothing to write about. They can't even support you financially. Please stand on your feet.
Find a way.
Your husband. Don't just rely on your husband, because we are all human. Some husbands will not even beat you. But the kind of torture they'll be giving you on the ground is more than beating. So if you have something doing, then your children, if you want to give birth to 2 or 1 that you know you can cater for, then your mental health is very, very important as a woman. So that's my little contribution.
Thank you. Amazing contribution. Thank you so much. A woman must have something she's doing so that she can stand on her feet. A YouTuber here, Emmanuel Balogun, says, BC, we cannot totally separate marriage and life. The two are interdependent. Please, I disagree with you. Your life is your life first. You have a responsibility to preserve and protect your life for as long as you can, God willing, right? Marriage is secondary. And that's the, changing the narrative that we're talking about. Marriage is very important. Marriage is among the family values every human being should have, but it is secondary. It's not interdependent with life. It's not the same. One comes before the other, because you need to be alive and be in a good mental state to be able to have a wonderful marriage. No, he says that marriage and life, you cannot separate it, that they are together. You know, I had initially said that.
No, I think he's saying marriage is part of life.
It's part of life. Does not mean that they are together. One comes first. So life and your ability to hold on to your life and preserve your life is the first that we should be focusing on. Then marriage is second. Marriage is very important. Nobody's arguing that. We're all married here, right?
Yeah.
It's secondary.
Yeah.
It's not primary. So what I hear some women and see some people do is that they make marriage primary. And that's why when it seems like somebody has failed in that marriage, you are stigmatized.
Who says it's a failure? Wait now.
Thank you.
So a marriage doesn't
The person
work
that
out.
failed is the one that is
It's
the perpetrator of the
it doesn't work out. It's not no longer fulfilling the
Society
terms.
says it's a
So
failure.
for instance, you have a child that you love being abused by who is supposed to protect her.
Protect you.
You are supposed to protect her. I saw a case just last month at, let me not mention because I wasn't supposed to walk into that case. I was privileged to sit in. And a young girl abused herself, not fit enough to be a mother, was feeding her baby to pedophiles. Yes, and it was being handled by the right authority. And I was just processing. Yes, so somebody wanted her baby. And so she gave the baby.
And collected money.
Baby.
Yes, in exchange for money. And so they brought her to, this place. So these things happen where you're supposed to, when you're no longer fit. YK was saying yesterday that some people are not mothers. Not everybody is a mother.
gives birth.
When you can no longer be that that hen that spreads her wings and protect, you're failed. That's the part that should worry you the most. But say the marriage doesn't work out or you're called names, it's okay. That's not a failure. That's not, I think what is worse is that, the gift that God has given to you in trust is something you fail to handle properly.
Yeah.
That should worry you. That should take away your sleep. That should make you lose sleep. That should run
That's
you
your
mad.
child now you're talking
Yes, your
about.
child.
Yeah.
Seeing your child in pain. I cannot even imagine somebody abuse my child in the name of play. The way I stand
body,
up, say,
exactly.
two of you were playing, he now pushed you for. I remember this particular when my son was playing with his friends, his same friends that he plays with every day, and they're still going to play the day after that day. And then they pushed him down, he was crying in pain, and then they took and continued playing with the ball. I was like, how can you see him lying down?
And you know him.
playing? I looked at one, that boy did not look like somebody in my compound. Get out to your mother's house. All of you to your mother's houses. So imagine that to children, and imagine something as grievous as a child's whole being being
You
altered.
hear my pain of yesterday when we
Yes.
talked about something like this. Because I just couldn't imagine that as a mother, you will see this happen. Whether it's a family member, whether it's a stranger, all of them are demons.
So you have to
Should
separate.
be seen as demons.
You have to separate. You see, you can submit your life. I don't want to even joke about it. I know it's serious, but you can commit your life to being beaten. Let them destroy you. But what you shouldn't commit
Your child.
is the child.
Yeah.
You know that
Women
child will
in
never
war,
recover.
when they are running,
They never recover.
when they are running, they know that war is happening, but they are still concerned about the one
Their
they are
children,
dragging.
yeah.
That they even say it's not the first rule of survival, but women will still,
Yeah.
you will see them dragging
Their
that
children.
child.
Let's take this call. I'll come to you, Ramat. We have David from Songo. Good morning, David.
Good morning.
Morning.
You are doing well. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
One thing I want us to understand about marriage. Marriage, God instituted marriage. The first institution that God created was marriage. And He doesn't want it to collapse. And that is why man, woman should leave their parents and come together and become one. But one thing I observe is that whenever you are in marriage and your daughter, for example, when you say a child abuse and the husband abused his own daughter, it's the fault from the mother's side. Many a times you see women telling their kid or their daughter, he's the father's wife, and the girl is getting matured and is still staying with the father inside the same room. My sister, the fault is from the mother. Why are you calling her the father's wife? Why should you be attaching that lady to the father? And you say, I kissed you, he kissed you, he kissed your daughter. You kiss your daughter. Kissing your daughter for what? At the end of the day, the body is prone to temptation.
The mentality where we have a problem.
Not for your child.
That's one apart. Then, in the area of women and husbands, don't talk negatively. Can you beat me? Can you beat me? Can you slap me? Can you do this? You are taking it as a joke. But let me tell you, one day it will happen. It happened to me. I was seriously down on fever, and my wife was with me. As she was there, I was getting relief. I said, my wife, because of your going out and your coming in, please be taking this drug that I am taking. Before you know it, it didn't enter her brain. And by then, the brother of this, my wife, gave me a contract of 1.5 million. The voice that came out of that lady when she recovered from that shock was that I wanted to see her. What is 1.5 million? As I said, I look at her. That I wanted to see you oppositely because for a business of 1.5 million in my hand. I gave her a head slap. That was the third time I raised my hand on her. Keeping a marriage, don't talk negative. The moment you started, can you be?
So this
Thank
is where
you.
the problem
Yeah.
is.
We'll be wrapping up now.
Mentality, the mentality of some people. So I totally agree on don't talk negative. You know, whatever you speak can come to reality. Don't provoke, don't talk negative. But to say to your husband, my husband's small wife is your child, doesn't mean you granted him a blanket permission to abuse or sleep with his child.
At all, at all.
No.
I was called my father's wife for long because I would particularly serve his food the way, as if in competition with my mom. I made my father's food till I got married. Proudly did so. I schooled and went to school from home in university. Never stayed out of the house. So you would see the connect, the closeness. And my mom would be like, hey, you will see, you know, as if we're in co-wives. Because of the closeness. You want to get something from my father, you have to go through me. So some kids are special like that to their parents. You see fathers calling some of their children my mother because of the kind of love that they see or maybe the resemblance they see in their child. That is not a blanket permission. The person has to be wired upside down to think that is a permission to sleep with the child in question.
That's horrible.
You know, and no negative statement should you two allow to take over you. I agree. Women should not, you know, profess negatively. But I don't agree that you should allow it to also take over you as a man to the extent
Once
you
it gets to the point where it's taking over you, something is already wrong with you. Because every daughter's first love is the father. We see our fathers as our heroes, you know. So let's wrap up. Any final words so that we can move on?
So I got a message. This person says, good morning to you people. You are Nyma, I respect you, but this morning I disagree with you. Your view about women and men abusiveness, I don't subscribe to it. You made me to change the channel immediately. I'm not a supporter of abusive relationship at all, but we should know that this is Africa, Nigeria for that matter, where we believe in submissiveness from your woman.
Oh, wow.
Most abusive attitude from men comes via the rude behavior of women. Never you try to equate yourself with your man in whatever way, please. I tried to call, but I couldn't get through. And I have not said that a woman equates herself to a man. And I have not said that I'm not submissive. I just said all those practices that just because I do not kneel does not mean I don't submit to my marriage. I just have a different definition of what submissiveness means to what another woman thinks it means. So I am not slave.
Submission is a topic.
Yes.
So you know why I like the way these men hold on to the submission. They don't hold on to the love that was commanded first. So Christ, husbands love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself for it. They leave that part. They don't want to sacrifice. They don't want to give themselves for their wives, but they hang on to that submission.
What
we need
does
to change that? Right?
Okay, what does she do wrong that allows for a husband to sleep with the child?
Abi?
I need to understand.
Exactly.
Maybe she
Since
said,
this is Africa, what are the African things that a woman is doing that allows for a man to beat a woman into coma? Please, if people can answer that, maybe we would.
But there's a rhetorical question here as we wrap up. This is a rhetorical question. He said, who trained these abusive men? That's topic
Now women.
It's not
rhetorical.
He has answer.
All right, that's all we can take on this topic. When we come back, we move on to our guest for today, Women We Love. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.